Can spirulina, the blue algae, improve cognitive function in people with Alzheimer's disease? A recent randomized control trial involving 53 people with Alzheimer's examined just that, along with spirulina's ability to reduce inflammation and improve blood sugar control. The study had 50 people with mild disease indicated by an MMSE, or mini mental state examination, a measure of cognitive function, scores of 10 to 20. Now, it goes up to 30, and a score of 26 plus indicates no cognitive dysfunction. So 10 to 20, again, is moderate cognitive dysfunction, and 3 of the 53 had mild disease where they had scores from 21 to 26. They gave them 500 milligrams of spirulina every day for 12 weeks. The results showed the group that took the spirulina versus the placebo group had 30% improvement in their MMSE scores. Pretty significant, if you ask me. Not to mention they had reductions in CRP levels, C-reactive protein, a marker of inflammation. So they had reduced inflammation and improvements in all markers of glycemic control, or the body's ability to handle blood sugar. Things like fasting blood glucose, insulin levels, yada, yada, yada. So spirulina, it improved cognitive function by 30% on the MMSE in these people with majorly moderate disease. Alzheimer's disease, that is. Not to mention it reduced inflammation and improved blood sugar control. Pretty neat stuff from this ancient blue algae. That's what we got for you guys today. Hope you found it interesting. Happy birthday, Emma Santizo. Happy birthday, Emma. Man, you're great. Let's play Clue soon. Or just hang out or come to the 4th of July party and bring Josh. It's Emma Santizo's birthday time. That was for you, Josh, and for Emma. You guys are in this. So you both get it. Love both you guys. I hope you had a great day. I'm sure you spent it together. God bless you. And, I'll see you soon. You're a great person. You're great to my sister. She's lucky to have you in her life. And so is everyone else who knows you, especially Josh. So enjoy it. Happy birthday. Forever your day in the book of One Wellness, young lady. So there you go. Who do we got on here? Let's say hi to the people. Who are you? OJB guy. What's up? What's up? What's up? Ruggette Brown. How you doing? How you doing? I'm doing great. What's up? They hate Shorty. Hey, Fernando. What? Fernanda. Phone has a crack there. Couldn't see. Jimstagram. What's happening? Hey, you guys. Hope you're having a lupus boxing. Boxing lupus. OJB guy. What up, what up? My man, Brandon Malone. How you doing, brother? Good to see you as always. Our snack. Edwin Eddie Rodriguez. Cal Pokes. Soda Pressing. Cocor. Daniel Herrera. Good to see you on again, guys. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you got something out of it. That was very fascinating, I thought. It's going great. Spirulina, blue algae. We talked about spirulina relatively recently. 2 grams a day. It was for like a couple months, reducing the symptoms of nasal allergies. That's a lot of spirulina. But what's interesting here is just 500 milligrams. It was for 12 weeks. And improved cognition in people with Alzheimer's, measured by the primary outcome, an MMSE, mini mental state examination, reduced inflammation, and improved blood sugar control as well. So pretty good stuff we should be taking. Most likely, spirulina. It's been around a very, very long time. It's ancient. James, what's up? Physique Photog, Bare Feet. Alexi Lugo. Yes. Okay. Maybe we'll do a whole day on inflammation. Yeah, we talk about things. Yeah. What are some good foods for reducing inflammation while we're here? Fish, leafy greens, right? Fatty fish like salmon and mackerel and tuna and herring. right? Leafy greens like kale, spinach, Swiss chard, stuff like that. Berries, especially blueberries, right? Blackberries, raspberries. Avocado, extra virgin olive oil. All sources of healthy fat as well. You know, things that are high in antioxidant. Blueberries, great, yeah. Blueberries are awesome. Salmon, you're damn right. That's right. So when you think of reducing inflammation, one of the, ginger, obviously. You got a lot of anti-inflammatory herbs and, rhodiola rosea root and things that serve as adaptogens as well, help your body deal with stress, like ginkgo biloba and panax ginseng. Bacopa monnieri improves memory, and it's also, likely to have anti-inflammatory effects. Holy basil, stuff like that. Using a lot of green herbal spices. Be good. Not anything in the ginger family. But, what causes inflammation? Processed foods. Something we really want to say, added sugars, all that kind of crap. Anything unnatural, really. Just find it in nature, number one. Granny Thuker. Unless it's Granny the Hooker. Claudio Fervere. Have I always been fit? That's a great question. Well, this is... How much time we got? The question was, have I always been fit? Well, when I was 10 years old, I played sports as a kid. I always thrived in sports. I loved sports. And, that was my life. I actually didn't like science at all. I didn't really want to read. I was, running around the block. I was playing soccer. I was playing baseball and football and lacrosse and hockey and basketball and whatever the hell I could get my hands on that had a ball. And I was doing that as a kid and also banging my head against the wall. And when I was 10 years old, the reason I give that as a premise is because I don't want you to think I was just like a little fat kid. When I was 10 years old, I didn't stretch out yet. So I had a little bit of chub, right? And, like I said, I'm still playing sports and stuff. I felt pretty good about myself. But I was at the ground round one night with my pop, rest in peace, who was a great man, and the rest of my family. And I was the French fry king at the time. So people would pass their French fries to me. I would eat everything left on everyone's plate, especially if it was French fries, because I really love French fries. And they're like one of the worst foods you can eat for body composition, interestingly, right? So processed fried oil and shit. So he said, Shane's looking a little heavy, and I overheard him. So I put my head down. I was 10 years old, and I was upset. I thought that was the first time I ever looked at my body, and I went home and I grabbed my stomach, and I was just holding it, and I was thinking, well, I just like pull this off, wouldn't that be good? How do we get rid of this? I didn't really look on the internet. I didn't have a phone. The tools we have now really accessible to me. I started doing sit-ups because my soccer coach had us do sit-ups once. So I started doing sit-ups, and then I started doing more, and then I started doing more. And that night I did as many as I could until I couldn't move up anymore. I didn't know what I was doing. I just did it until I was super tired. So then the next day, I was really sore. I was 10 years old. And I went and I played my sports, and I came home, and what I do? I did more sit-ups. I did them until I couldn't do any more. And I did that every day. I went and I told my parents I wanted to get big muscles in my upper body. When I was about 11, they got me a Body by Jake. This woman came over from Sears who was way out of shape. She had no business representing the Body by Jake. And she showed me how to use the Body by Jake, and it was full of bands and shit that doesn't really work that well. Bands can be effective. I'm not ripping on bands, but the way this was, it was just like, it was pretty ridiculous. But yeah, it got the job done, and it did something, and that was the first thing I had. And I remember, using the chest part and pushing that and just whatever, doing all these things with it. So I had the Body by Jake. And then I got an ab lounge in 6th grade. My parents got me the ab lounge. I'm doing the jackknife over and over. I was doing that. And by the time I was 11 years old, I had a 6-pack. So I was in good shape at that point. So this is kind of the beginning of the evolution of When Wellness as a kid. And, then I really enjoyed it because, I like talking to girls, and I like to, I was enjoying it. In sports, it improved my performance drastically to have a strong core. I started using dumbbells at home, and I remember when I would do these. I would do the overhead tricep extensions, which are great for the triceps, and I would do I would sit down and I would have my elbow on my knee doing the bicep curls like that. And I was doing them all wrong. Like I had my wrist totally curled, so my forearm was just getting strong. So I just had like a big forearm, and it really has evolved over time. I didn't know what I was doing. I just knew I wanted to look better. I wanted to feel better, and I wanted to work hard. And it was the best thing my pop-up ever could have done was said that day at the ground round. So, ever since then, I had been into fitness. I got a gym membership when I was, say, 15. I remember, this is what I was going to say, when I was 13, if we get some milestones here, I took the 30-pound dumbbell, and I remember I could do this 100 times. I could go, full tricep extension. I can't hit the ceiling, But that's pretty good for a 13-year-old kid. And I was using the 40s, doing this. I remember when I would go to Modell's with my dad, and we'd buy a new set of dumbbells every few months when I could start to lift new ones. Probably 14 years old. Then I was using the 40s finally, and man, it's nostalgic talking about this, But that was a good question. So I worked out my whole life, and then I got to chiropractic school, and I played rugby there. I played on scholarship. It was very serious type thing, is why I say that. So we had fitness tests and all sorts of things, and I was fit and I was strong, but I was in very good shape at Stony Brook when I played there. And then I was in good shape in Palmer too, and especially in the beginning. But then around like my 6th trimester out of 10, that's what the program is to get the DC. I was so stressed out. I wasn't getting any sleep. My cortisol levels were so high, but I was still lifting a lot. So I was like big and burly. I had abs under a little bit. I wasn't like fat, but I was 264 pounds at the max. I had a lot of meat on me. And I just thought, man, this isn't healthy. Even though it worked well in the field, that's like, that's a lot of power to run around with if you still have speed, which I had strong legs. So, I was able to still move quickly. But I decided, man, I need to change this. And I started intermittent fasting. That's when I found fasting. And I had, up until that point throughout my entire life, eaten frequently throughout the day. That's always, what I thought was the best way to do it, to be in shape. And it can very well be, if you're somebody that wants to do it like that, to eat every 2 hours, is what I did. And, I'd have a scoop of protein here. I would have, half of my sandwich then, and an hour and a half later have the other half, or 2 hours, and so on. I'd be eating the whole day, and my metabolism was just kicking, burning, leptin, released, I'm burning fat. It was just, it was good. At this point, I stumbled upon fasting on accident because of an Uber driver, and I was in the clinic all day too at Palmer. So it was about 7th try now, I would say 8th try. And I'd be on the road, and I would get the ding, ding, take another ride. I could go home, I'll take another ride. Before I knew it, I hadn't eaten for 8 hours. I was in clinic all day, and the first day I was like kind of freaked out. I was like, man, I'm hungry, but I need the money. I'm going to take another ride. Why I needed the money is a whole other story. I was making some app that the guy screwed me over. It's like a whole crazy thing. We could talk forever. It's some story. But anyway, long story short. So then I accidentally fell into fasting, and I said, wow, I feel pretty good. The next day I said, I didn't eat for a long time, and I got over that hump, and maybe I'll look into it. Maybe I'll try this again. I've heard people talk about it, and I always said they were crazy because I'm a big eat every 2 hours kind of guy. And then, I went from 264, started doing extended fasts at some point, 48-hour fast. I even got into 72-hour fast at some point. After a while of fasting, I just did, at first like 16 hours, 12 hours, then 14, and then 16, and 16 for a couple of weeks. And then I was at 20, and so on. So I didn't just jump into, crazy fast like that. I definitely don't recommend doing that, but it changed my life. I went from 264 to 205, and I was cut. I felt good. And I said, I'm getting too skinny. I got to eat some more when I'm fasted. So I've really, the whole point of this is that's been the journey. You can read all the books you want. You can watch all these videos on how to do workouts, but I learned more in a gym with this old wily guy telling me all these little tricks in lifting and working out repetitively all the time, every day, doing those crunches, it paid dividends in the end for mental toughness and just for what I learned about my body and what I learned by looking at it every day and seeing the changes and just feeling the changes and experimenting than I ever have learned from reading a single book. And that is so true. You have to just infest yourself with it. You have to become obsessed with it in a healthy way. And, that goes for anything you want to try and master. And we're working towards that every day here at When Wellness, is trying to master health. And we're getting better all the time, and one thing we have to do that is go get some sleep. So on that note, great talk. How many times weight behind head when 15? This is what I was I don't know, when I was 15. But I remember being 13 years old and having the 30-pound weight with two hands, and I would do 100 of them at once in one set. But that's all I did was those and these. So I was really strong in those emotions, Yeah. And then I went to my buddy's house to do bench press, but I never did chest, right? So I didn't have a strong chest, and my triceps are really strong from doing that. So from here up, I was good. But I went to bench, and it was 135, and I was like 13. It fell on my chest and just sat there. I was like, oh my God. I was right here. I was like, it was like a Smith machine too, It was like easy. And I was like, holy shoot. And he helped it when I got here. It was like, just muscular imbalances, So then I started doing a lot of chest naturally when I got a gym membership, and that became strong. And that's life. Yeah, just. Hey, absolutely. My pleasure. You got it. So let's see. We'll say hi to everybody. Yeah, so Claudio Faveri, that was an extensive answer, but, I had to share that. Thanks for asking that. Bringing back memories. Elastic Tears, how you doing? Kokor. Mike A. Moore. What's up, Mel? Nice to see you on here. Hope you're doing great. Mark Garcia. Big Boca. Pike Can. Pit Can. Randy's. Devin Jake. Lupus Boxing. Teaspoon olive oil with shot of lemon. 3 thin slices of ginger root. 2 walnuts. 7 green nut pistachio. That sounds great. That's phenomenal. Yeah, nuts and seeds as well, right? We didn't mention. Eli Murray. And a lot of fruits and vegetables are anti-inflammatory. Stone everyone's real high in sugar. You don't need all that sugar. At least it's natural, though. Better than added sugar. C. Montes. Lassiter. Josh, what's up, man? There's a shout out before. Emma's birthday. I don't know if you guys are hanging out. You can watch the video back. We talked about her and you a little bit. Beowulf, El Troy, MXDF, and now we've been talking a lot about memories. Thanks for going over. Absolutely, my pleasure, El Troy. I appreciate that. TS10F, DC Hugo, what's happening? Shane Fitz, Herbie Hahn, Isaac Stanley, Artsy Fartsy, No Filter, Royal Marsh. Yeah, that's right. William the Foodie. Happy birthday, Emma's damn right. It's forever her day in the book of When Wellness. I did a When Wellness Emma birthday time too, champ. Junior Castillo, have a great rest of your night. You guys can watch it, Josh, at least, the birthday part, if that's what, And we'll see you tomorrow, guys. It'll be right here at whatever time. So have a great rest of your night. Happy When Wellness. Happy birthday, Emma. Thanks a lot. We'll see you.